Four Bars Rest is joined by Iestyn Davies, the newly appointed chairman of the Brass Band Forum of Wales. Congratulations, Iestyn, on your appointment. Tell us a little bit about an historic, groundbreaking decision that occurred in Wales on the weekend.
Well, the meeting on the weekend was really the fruit of a lot of hard labour that people have put into trying to understand how best to meet the challenges facing banding in Wales, how to make sure it's a sustainable art form that has new members, people returning to banding, that it has a chance to grow an audience, and also a chance really to understand what it means to put it on the political agenda and the policy agenda, to possibly at some point in time tap into funding that's available from government and from the Arts Council of Wales.
Now, this is, again, you talk about the fruits of it, and there's been a lot of hard work that has gone on. People like Peter Roberts from North Wales, who's been working towards this, has been an integral part of it over the last 18 months. When it came to the meeting, one of the things that was really brought forward is a question of trust. And a lot of cooperation between the three associations in Wales. That must have been very heartening for somebody such as yourself, especially in the political context. Wales is known for its great arguments, so that must have been something which really encouraged you.
Well, I speak first and foremost as a bandsman, somebody who will be competing on the weekend in Bury Port, and to know that we've got the three associations in Wales behind this, giving us a real sort of grounding in the brass band community, and then giving us the chance to form relationships with the conductors, the adjudicators and the contest promoters, means that we have a concerted and unified voice, a chance to have a dialogue with the people who make a lot of the tough decisions about banding, and people perhaps who have not always had the opportunity to engage with one group of people who represent the average bando or bandsman or bandswoman who's competing on the ground. And I think, a lot of the challenges that we do face as bands people, we've come up with some of the solutions ourselves in the band room and in the bar and in various, coach travels across the breadth of South Wales and North Wales as people journey down to the Brangwyn and back up and that kind of stuff. So we know what the challenges are. We identified some of the solutions, and now this is our opportunity to put those solutions and opportunities actually on the agenda.
You talk about working together, a lot of cooperation, a lot of dialogue, etc. Again, you've got the three associations in Wales. Traditionally, they've looked after very well about their own member bands, but now this is about something else. This is about a national identity for Wales. And those people who have been appointed to start off with on the body have been appointed as individuals. How important has that been, that it's non-partisan?
Well, this current body, if you like, is a shadow body or a bridging body. It's trying to take us in the direction where we have some perhaps formal links with the associations. But it's important that people don't just think in the silo of their association, that we think in terms of banding in Wales, that we understand the political context of Wales, we understand the artistic environment in Wales, that we're looking at things that go beyond the artificial separation between north and south and east and west. At the end of the day, the challenges to banding in South Wales, for instance, don't stop at Pont Abraham services. And they don't stop when you sort of go past Brecon on your way to Beaumaris on the A470 or up to Wrexham. So the challenges we face are very similar. And what we're looking at is an opportunity to get people to speak together, to speak with one voice, to play from the same march card, so to speak, and actually ensure that we come up with a unified voice that we can take to the contest promoters, we can take to the Arts Council and the politicians, take to the media, and in fact to audiences, and say, this is what we've got to offer for the cultural landscape in Wales.
Talking that in that respect to people who are looking from the outside into Wales, we're only a small country, but a very complex country. You talk about the political agenda. Devolution in Wales has meant that a lot of funding from government bodies has been devolved down to Cardiff, to the Senedd, our Welsh Parliament in effect. How important it is then for Welsh banding to link itself down to Cardiff to find out where the powerhouses are, the people who hold their hands on the purse strings, and then to make sure that we've got a strong, well-funded national Welsh body.
Well, in my day job, I work for the Federation of Small Businesses. I run its political operation and lobbying operation in Wales. I've worked for the Royal College of Nursing. I've worked freelance. And a lot of organisations I've come across in the last, 10, 15 years have had to get to the realisation that Wales now does things differently, and it does it via the Assembly, via the Senedd, and its infrastructure, its networks now radiate out of Cardiff rather than out of Westminster. The Arts Council of Wales was formed when devolution was on the horizon, and that separated the same distance, if you like, between the Arts Council of England and Arts Council of Scotland and Northern Ireland. So we have to deal with what is the political settlement that we've got. Now, you might be a fan of devolution or not, but that's the reality. And banding, like any other art form, has got to cope with that reality, because the link between arts and state subsidy is always going to be there. it's not the only way we are going to grow our art form. We've got to take responsibility for ourselves. We've got to grow our own audiences, but we've got to be mindful of the fact that the UK is now cut up into a very devolved jigsaw, if you like.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that many people have been talking about recently, of course, is this overbranching UK Brass Band Association. But as you said about the political context, where for Wales at this present time, we've got to look towards the Senedd, towards where the funding is within Wales, and to set that up first of all to have a strong body, then hopefully in the future you believe that you can then talk to other national bodies, be it in England, Scotland, or even abroad to Norway and the Low Countries, etc.
Yeah. Well, I think in the current climate of the very politicised nature of banding in the UK, it's a question of nation shall speak peace unto nation. We've got to get our own individual setups right before we can look at how best to look at it from a UK perspective, and then look at the European dimension, of course, the global nature that is banding. I don't think it's right these days to talk about British brass bands. There are various forms of brass bands. We've been challenged by what's happened on the continent in Scandinavia. Mm-hmm. We know there's a very robust brass band culture in Australia and New Zealand. And we need to learn from that, and we need to diversify it and to make the whole banding experience much richer and much more diverse. So it's not about just sort of retreating into Wales and forgetting that there's a banding world beyond Wales. It's about putting our own house in order, understanding what we need to do, and then being able to speak with authority to the other parts of the banding globe.
Mm-hmm. At the meeting, there was a great deal of cooperation, a great deal of trust placed in your leadership to start off with. We've got, as we said, individual representatives covering the geographical areas of Wales, and plus got a youth representative, Alan Williams, who's very experienced to cover, hopefully, the youth context throughout the Principality. Looking forward from there, how quickly do you think that there's going to be real progress made for Wales? You're talking about already an official launch date in the Senedd.
Well, we've been very fortunate to have the support of the presiding officer, Rosemary Butler, who's the Assembly member for Newport West. And Rosemary is somebody who's supported bands in the past. She's been to a number of concerts. I know she's listened to Corey, that there's a staff band for the Salvation Armies. They've come into Wales. I know she has links with AMs and MPs for bands like Tredegar. And indeed, a lot of elected politicians have links with their local band in their community. It's the case in North Wales and Wrexham and out west as well. So we're hoping to launch this event at the Senedd. 21st of February, hopefully at the moment, is the date we've got penciled. We're going to profile youth banding. We're going to profile where bands people go in terms of their professional careers, not just in banding, but the way it helps them actually develop professional careers beyond banding. We're going to look at, what role bands have in the economy, hopefully. And also, to note that actually brass bands are one of the few places these days where people actually learn to read the dots and the lines. A lot of musical culture that we have at the moment is very much an oral one, but brass banding is based on learning a technique and learning to read music and to contribute in terms of the ensemble, which is quite unique when you look at how performance-based, music-based art forms work at the moment. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of good stuff to be talking about, and the Senedd is the appropriate place to launch what is a forum for Wales. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm very, very happy that Rosemary Butler, the presiding officer, has decided to sponsor the event, and I'm looking forward to a good night there and showcasing what banding is doing in Wales and for Wales.
And just for the immediate future as well, getting that message across to the bands people within Wales is very important. There will be small steps taken, first of all, as you say, to make sure that Brass Band Forum Wales speaks, as you said, as one voice, but actually speaks to the bandsmen at the very lowest level, from youth band level up to the very top level, championship section level. So again, for the future, you're encouraged by the initial responses, and hopefully it's an exciting future.
Well, I'm encouraged by this idea that things need to be transparent and honest and on the table. We know that brass banding is incredibly competitive. We wouldn't want to move that. That's one of the things that drives us forward. There'd be nobody more competitive than me in Buryport on Saturday, I can assure you that. So at the end of the day, we want to take that and harness it. But we can be competitive on the big sort of contest stage when they happen. But outside those contest stage events, we need to be collaborative and work together. Because Tredegar or Beaumaris or Corey or BTM or bands lower down the competing hierarchy all have answers to these problems. And it's only by bringing those answers out and not just talking to bands, but listening to bands and bands people as well, and understanding what they've got to contribute. No, we're going to try the social media route. We are not going to have the capacity to fund, some big consultation events. It's going to be using new media. I think it's an important thing to recognise that this forum is not going to try to regulate or levy or tax bans and try to raise money. All we're trying to do is to engender a spirit of cooperation and discussion. It's only by sharing good ideas that we're going to move forward. Keeping in our silos, well, the old Grim Reaper is going to come knocking on banding in Wales and the rest of the UK if we're not careful. So let's share good ideas, share good practice, let's collaborate and let's find a common way forward.
Well, yes then. It seems that the plan hopefully will work for Welsh banding in the future. We wish you the very best of luck, and we're quite sure we're going to hear much more from you and the progress that the Brass Band Forum of Wales is making. Many thanks for joining 4 Bars Rest.
Thanks so much.